Hello, my dear friends. You're welcome on our channel. In this video, we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates too. So let's start. Two-person wounded as a result of drone strike at the fuel station in Sumy. Two women, aged 51 and 53, were wounded as a result of a drone strike on a fuel station in the Zarichny district of Sumy on the 18th of October 2025. Their injuries are not life-threatening. The strike also damaged the gas station market and a civilian car. This attack was part of a wider pattern of Russian drone strikes on the Sumy region that day, which also included damage to the railway station and injuries to other civilians. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed strikes at the Novokuybishevsky oil refinery in Samara region, Orenburg natural gas processing plant and oil depot in occupied Berdyansk. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed strikes on key energy facilities on the 19th of October 2025. Ukrainian forces hit the Novokuybishevsky oil refinery in Russia's Samara region, causing explosions and fire. They also struck the Orenburg natural gas processing plant, the largest of its kind globally, igniting a fire at the facility and forcing it to suspend gas intake from Kazakhstan. Additionally, a fuel depot in Russian-occupied Berdyansk was targeted, resulting in explosions and fire. These attacks aimed to disrupt Russia's fuel supplies and weaken its war effort without reported casualties so far. At Kursk and North Slobodansky Sumy direction, Ukrainian forces have repelled 3 Russian army assaults. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Ukrainian forces repelled 3 Russian army assaults in the Kursk and northern Slobodansky directions, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The fighting in these areas has stabilized the front line, with Ukrainian troops defending key positions and pushing Russian forces back, preventing their redeployment to other fronts like Pokrovsk. Despite the heavy presence of elite Russian units and intense use of artillery, aviation, and UAV strikes, the Ukrainian defenders have inflicted significant losses, maintaining control and advancing in some areas near Sumy and Kursk. At South Slobodansky, Kharkiv, direction clashes yesterday near Odradne, Kamyanka, and Bolohivka, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Clashes occurred yesterday on the South Slobodansky, Kharkiv front near Odradny, Kamyanka, and Bolohivka, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. There were around 31 combat engagements in this area, with Ukrainian forces repelling Russian attacks in these settlements and neighboring villages. The fighting remains intense, with frequent assaults and counterattacks as both sides contest control. Ukrainian defenders continue to hold their positions and disrupt Russian advances in this strategically important direction. Explosions were reported near Dnipro city, airstrikes with long-range glide bombs. Recent explosions near Dnipro city were caused by airstrikes using long-range glide bombs, targeting critical infrastructure and industrial sites. The attacks resulted in significant fires and damage to residential and commercial buildings. Emergency services responded quickly to control the fires, and there were reports of injuries, though no confirmed fatalities. These strikes are part of the ongoing conflict, with Russian forces intensifying attacks on Ukrainian energy and industrial infrastructure. The Ukrainian military confirmed they intercepted many drones during the attacks, but some managed to hit key targets, disrupting electricity and services in the region. Officials and President Zelensky condemned these attacks, highlighting the humanitarian impact as winter approaches and calling for stronger sanctions against Russia. Russian aviation conducted airstrikes at Spodobivka, Lozova of Kharkiv region, Dolinka, Stepnohirsk of Zaporizhia region, Odrada Kamyanka of Kherson region. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Russian aviation conducted airstrikes on multiple settlements across Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, as reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Key targeted locations include Spodobivka and Lozova in Kharkiv Oblast, Dolinka and Stepnohirsk in Zaporizhia, and Odradokamyanka in Kherson region. Over the past day, these strikes resulted in civilian casualties, including at least 1 death and multiple injuries in Kharkiv. Russian forces used an array of weapons, including guided aerial bombs, CAB, FPV drones, and UAVs, causing significant damage to residential buildings, infrastructure, and evacuations in affected areas. The defense forces actively repelled repeated Russian assaults, inflicting losses and maintaining control over frontline positions amidst ongoing clashes. At Lyman direction clashes yesterday near Novi Mir, Seredne, and Zarichny, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Yesterday, in the Lyman direction, clashes occurred near Novi Mir, Seredne, and Zarichny, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Russian forces attempted multiple assaults in this strategically important area, aiming to gain control of key settlements. Ukrainian defenders actively resisted, inflicting losses on the enemy and preventing further advances. The fighting remains intense, with ongoing battles involving artillery, infantry, and armored units, highlighting the significance of Lyman as a contested front line. At Oleksandrivka direction clashes yesterday near Sosnivka, Vorone, Novomykolaivka, Novorihorivka, and Malinivka, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Clashes occurred yesterday on the Oleksandrivka direction near Sosnivka, Voron, Novomykolaivka, Novorihorivka, and Malinivka, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Russian forces launched multiple assaults in these settlements, but Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled the attacks, maintaining control of the area. The fighting involved infantry and armored units with artillery support, resulting in heavy losses for the attackers. Ukrainian troops have also executed tank raids that destroyed some Russian positions in the south of Oleksivka, demonstrating continued resistance and tactical counteractions in the region.